Hello guys and welcome back to Just for Fun. This is Matt here. Today we're going to play some more Pauper. This is my mono black control deck here in Pauper. Sorry, my screen was kind of dim there for a second because we're black. No. So I love black. I love mono black control. It's my favorite archetype. I try to play it in every format if it's possible. It is kind of possible in every format. It might not always be the best, but basically this deck is insane. It's up there. I would call it a tier 1 deck. It's just tremendously powerful because almost everything in the deck is 2 for 1. So almost, and even the 1 for 1s are very efficient, and everything here is just so, oh my god, it's a very frustrating deck to play against if you haven't played against it. So let's go over the deck. 23 lands, which is a lot for Pauper. Monocolored, which lets us play 4 of these Barren Moors for cycling. The most expensive thing in here is Corrupt at 6. So after 6, you don't really need more lands than that. It doesn't hurt, but sometimes you'd rather cycle and draw into more answers, and this deck is full of answers. So let's just go, I don't know, let's go by way of casting cost here, and we'll go that way. So Ravenous Rats, built in 2 for 1, right? I mean, yeah, it's kind of a discounted thing because for 2 mana you're only getting 1/1, but it's a great turn to play. Opponent ditches a card. It's not a bad top deck in the late game if opponent is holding something important. It's his last important card. Never hurts things actually to play the rats here. Quombage Witches. This is a nice throwback one. This was a very powerful creature for back in the day. Like now we would look at this creature and be like, yeah, okay, but back in the day this was like super powerful. Double black, 1/3, taps to deal 1 damage, or ping as we used to call it, to ping something, and opponent gets to ping you in response. So these are like the yin yang witches here. So very interesting, unusual card. Whoa, she has too many fingers. Yeah, the art used to be pretty terrible, didn't it? That's improved over the years. But anyway, good card. 3 Geth's Verdicts. Instant speed edict that deals one damage to just the value, just like extra value, and this is super good against obviously the hexproof deck, which is pretty common deck online. Now 4 Sign in Blood, straight up 2 mana, draw 2 at the low cost of 2 life. So value card here. Victim of Night. This is basically as close as we can get to like a Path to Exile kind of a card. Like, it pretty much kills anything at instant speed, and it costs 2. The drawback is slight. I mean, this was a good drawback for the limited format that it was in. This was a lot worse in limited than it is in constructed. It's actually, like, I would play this card in modern. Shout out Matt Westbrook, who would also play this card in modern. Yeah, I think it's a really good removal spell. Okay, more 2 for 1s here with Rager. 3 mana, 2/2, draws you a card. So always happy to see this because it's like a 2/2 with cycling kind of, not it replaces itself, and if it's already outmatched on the board, then it's drawing you into something to help remedy that, whether that be a removal spell or a bigger threat. Chittering Rats, another 2 for 1. Now, you're going to say this doesn't get rid of a card from the opponent, it just stalls it, but it's a huge tempo spell, and it annoys the crap out of your opponent. This is so annoying to play against. Art is hard, some of the worst art I've ever seen on a Magic card, right? But yeah, good card. 3 for a 3 mana 2/2. You notice there's a lot of double black here. So you gain a lot of power by using the double colored spells. Plus, you know, these are all leading up to something. They all add devotion. Check out my sick promo Spectres, dude. I love this card. I love this art. Lily Spectre, 3 mana, 2/1 flyer, which is already, you know, it's kind of decent. Like in limited, this would be a pretty high pick, right? And then when it enters the battlefield, opponent discards a card. So, you know, really good. Consequently, with this effect and another effect we're going to talk about, this deck is actually, if you were going to play a multiplayer game of Pauper, this would be the choice. Because there's a lot of good, like this hits everybody for a card. So, Oubliette is like Journey to Nowhere, but in black, basically. Except it also removes all auras attached to the creature, which is a little weird, and because the auras come back. But you know, for a while this was bugged and it would just exile the opponent's thing. So maybe this should be unmake now, because that's a little bit better in this spot. But the reason I keep these in is for the next card I'm going to talk about, which is Grey Merchant, right? So Grey Merchant is a 4 of in the deck. I mean, 5 mana, 2/4. 2/4 is pretty big in Pauper. It's mostly a 4 mana 1/1s and 2/2s, so 2/4 is nice, has a lot of blocks. But coming in with the devotion here, so Oubliette adds 2 devotion in addition to being a removal spell, so that's why it's still in there. Lily Spectre adds 2, Chittering Rats add 2, Witches add 2, so you can throw down some pretty beefy merchants here, drain for a lot. Speaking of draining, in order to help stay alive, we also have Tendrils as an additional removal spell. This gains a ton of life. It's just massively important card. Okiba Gang Shinobi, Rat Ninja. What up, Rat Ninja? Twins here. These guys are crazy. If you can ninjutsu them in, typically a nice curve would be Spectre into this, and then your opponent's very unlikely to have anything left in his hand. Once you get one of these out and it's unanswered, it's going to be very hard for your opponent to come back from all that. And we talked about Corrupt. This is a finisher, or also a removal, or just a way to stay alive longer to get to more finishers, or however you want to call it. It does a lot. Everything in this deck just does a lot of work. One of Miser's Bajuka Bog for graveyard strategies, having, you know, a tap land doesn't really hurt us that badly. Sideboard, not totally updated lately, so I could probably change this. We've got Rancid Earth as some hate against Tron. Tron is kind of a bit of a rougher matchup because they can draw so many cards, but this is good, you know, breaks up their Tron. Also good against token decks, because this can be like a barrage of boulders kind of effect here, deal 1 to everything. Speaking of which, Crypt Rats as a Wrath. So in a deck with a bunch of creatures, these will probably come in if somebody's plan is to go wide, you know. Wrench Mind, this comes in the mirror, basically, as just a Hymn to Turok. It's a pretty powerful card. Echoing Decay is also against token strats. This can be a Wrath. It could be just additional removal in case you need it. And Duress, this is coming in against Burn mostly. You know, because you want to just trade with 1-for-1ing against Burn is going to win you the game, because they'll run out of cards before you do, and your cards are just more powerful in the end of the game. So yeah, that's the deck. Let's see if we can get a couple matches in and show you how it works. It's a lot of fun. Alright.